Picture this: a couple in plain dress, no rings, no fancy ceremony, just a simple church service in a barn. Most people assume Amish couples skip the government paperwork entirely and marry purely through their faith. But here's the shocking truth that even longtime Amish observers get wrong. The answer about marriage licenses will completely change how you view their relationship with modern society. The common misconception: for decades, movies, documentaries, and news reports have painted the same picture. Amish couples reject all government involvement in their marriages, living completely separate from modern legal systems. This myth has become so widespread that most Americans believe Amish communities operate like independent nations, creating their own marriage laws entirely. The misconception makes sense when you consider their rejection of modern conveniences. If they won't use electricity or drive cars, why would they bother with government paperwork for something as sacred as marriage? Popular culture reinforces this image, showing Amish weddings as purely religious ceremonies, with no mention of legal documentation. This belief has become so entrenched that even legal professionals assume Amish marriages exist in a gray area of law, somehow recognized without following standard procedures. The legal reality. Here's the truth that surprises everyone. The vast majority of Amish couples absolutely do obtain marriage licenses from their county recorder's office, just like any other American couple. They follow the same legal procedures, pay the same fees, and meet the same state requirements. When an Amish couple decides to marry, they make a trip to their local courthouse, often traveling by buggy or hiring a driver. They present required identification, pay the licensing fee, and complete the same paperwork that non-Amish couples fill out. The clerk processes their application following standard procedures. This isn't a recent development. Amish communities have been following state marriage laws for generations. Court records show thousands of marriage licenses issued to Amish couples across Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, and other states with significant populations. These legal documents ensure their marriages have full legal standing for tax purposes, inheritance rights, child custody, and all other aspects of civil law. The licenses are real, the marriages are legally binding, and the state recognizes them completely. Why they still get licenses? Despite their preference for simple living and minimal government involvement, Amish couples obtain marriage licenses for intensely practical reasons that protect their families and communities. Without legal marriage recognition, their children could face complications with birth certificates, school enrollment, and inheritance rights. Property ownership represents a major concern in agricultural communities where land passes between family members. Legally married couples can inherit farms, homes, and businesses without complex legal procedures or tax penalties. Insurance benefits, including health coverage and life insurance, require legal marriage documentation to cover spouses and children effectively. Medical decision-making authority becomes critical during health emergencies, when hospitals need clear legal authorization to discuss patient information or make treatment decisions. Without marriage licenses, Amish spouses might be denied access to their partner's medical care during crises. Financial institutions require marriage documentation for joint bank accounts, business loans, and mortgages that support family farms. The practical benefits of legal marriage far outweigh any philosophical concerns about government involvement. Most importantly, obtaining marriage licenses protects their children's legal status and ensures smooth family functioning within the broader American legal system. Religious versus civil marriage? Understanding Amish marriage requires recognizing the crucial distinction they make between civil marriage recognized by the state and religious marriage blessed by God and their church community. To Amish couples, the government license represents merely a legal formality, while the true marriage happens through their church ceremony. The religious ceremony holds infinitely more significance than any government paperwork. When an Amish couple exchanges vows before their bishop and congregation, they believe God joins them in holy matrimony through spiritual authority that transcends any earthly institution. The church ceremony creates the real marriage bond that will last for eternity. This perspective reflects their broader theology about separation of church and state. Amish communities believe religious authority comes directly from God through church leaders, while government authority handles worldly affairs like taxes and legal procedures. Marriage exists primarily in the spiritual realm under God's authority. Their approach demonstrates sophisticated understanding of dual citizenship. They operate simultaneously as faithful church members under religious authority and practical citizens under civil authority. The marriage license represents their civil obligations, while the church ceremony represents their spiritual commitment. This dual approach allows them to maintain religious principles while functioning effectively within American society. They don't reject government authority where it serves legitimate purposes, but they never confuse civil procedures with spiritual significance. The state can document their marriage and provide legal protections, but only God and their church community can create the sacred bond they consider true marriage. This balance explains why they willingly obtain licenses while placing primary emphasis on religious ceremony and community blessing. The process differences. While Amish couples follow the same legal requirements as other Americans, their approach to obtaining marriage licenses reflects their unique lifestyle and values in fascinating ways. The journey to the county courthouse often becomes a community event, with family members arranging transportation by buggy or hiring English drivers for the trip to unfamiliar government buildings. The paperwork process itself requires careful navigation since many Amish adults have limited experience with government forms and procedures. Some counties with large Amish populations have developed streamlined processes and employ clerks familiar with their community's needs, making the experience more comfortable for couples who rarely interact with government offices. Documentation requirements can present unique challenges, since some Amish individuals may lack standard forms of identification, like driver's licenses or social security cards. However, most states allow alternative documentation, including baptismal certificates, school records, or affidavits from church leaders that satisfy legal requirements while respecting religious practices. The timing of license applications often differs from mainstream patterns. Amish couples typically obtain their licenses closer to the wedding date, since their engagement periods tend to be shorter and more private than typical American courtships. They also prefer handling legal requirements quickly and efficiently to minimize contact with government institutions. Payment methods reflect their cash-based economy, with couples bringing exact change rather than using credit cards or checks for licensing fees. Some counties have adapted their procedures to accommodate cash payments and provide clear fee schedules that help Amish families prepare appropriately. The entire process demonstrates their pragmatic approach to legal requirements. They fulfill their civil obligations efficiently and respectfully, while maintaining their distinct cultural practices. County clerks often report that Amish couples are well prepared, courteous, and focused on completing the necessary procedures without unnecessary complications or delays. Exceptions and variations. While most Amish couples obtain traditional marriage licenses, some interesting exceptions exist that reveal the complexity of their relationship with civil law. Certain isolated communities in remote areas have historically operated with minimal government contact, sometimes performing marriages with delayed or informal legal documentation that gets resolved later through community record keeping. Self-uniting marriage laws in states like Pennsylvania, Colorado, and California provide legal alternatives that align more closely with Amish preferences for religious authority over civil authority. These laws allow couples to perform their own marriage ceremonies without requiring ordained ministers or government officials, though proper documentation and witness requirements still apply. Some Amish communities take advantage of self-uniting provisions by having couples sign their own marriage certificates in the presence of church members who serve as required witnesses. This approach satisfies legal requirements while minimizing government involvement in the actual ceremony, creating a middle ground between pure religious marriage and standard civil procedures. Geographic variations also influence practices, with different states offering different levels of accommodation for religious communities. Some counties with large Amish populations have developed special procedures or forms that streamline the licensing process, while others maintain strict adherence to standard requirements regardless of religious considerations. Generational differences occasionally emerge, with younger Amish couples sometimes being more comfortable with government procedures due to increased interaction with mainstream society through work or business relationships. Older, more traditional families might prefer minimal legal contact but still recognize the necessity of proper documentation. These variations demonstrate that Amish communities aren't monolithic in their approach to marriage licensing, with different groups finding different ways to balance religious principles with legal requirements while maintaining their core commitment to church authority over civil authority. What really matters to them, despite obtaining legal marriage licenses, Amish couples place overwhelming emphasis on church blessing and community recognition as the true foundation of their marital union. The religious ceremony represents the moment when God joins them together, while the marriage license merely provides legal convenience for navigating American society's requirement. Church membership and baptism create the essential prerequisites for Amish marriage, with couples required to demonstrate spiritual commitment and community acceptance before receiving permission to marry. The bishop's blessing carries infinitely more weight than any government official's signature, representing divine approval that validates their union in the eyes of God and their faith community. Community recognition extends far beyond the wedding ceremony itself, encompassing ongoing support, accountability, and integration into the social fabric that defines Amish life. Married couples gain new status within their church district, often hosting worship services in their homes and taking on increased responsibilities for community welfare and spiritual guidance. The visible symbols of marriage, beards for men and white bonnets for women, communicate marital status to the entire community without requiring any reference to legal documentation. These traditional markers create immediate recognition and social understanding that transcends any paperwork filed with government offices. Wedding celebrations focus entirely on religious significance and community fellowship, with elaborate feasts, singing, and socializing that can last entire days. These gatherings strengthen family bonds and community relationships while celebrating the spiritual significance of the new marriage, without any mention of legal formalities. The couple's ongoing relationship with their church community provides marriage support, conflict resolution, and spiritual guidance that they consider far more valuable than any legal protections offered by civil marriage. Their priorities clearly emphasize spiritual and social bonds over legal technicalities, though they appreciate the practical benefits that marriage licenses provide. The bishop's role. The Amish bishop holds supreme authority over marriage within their church community, wielding power that far exceeds any government official's role in the marriage process. Only baptized church members can marry with the bishop's blessing, creating a religious prerequisite that supersedes all civil requirements in determining marriage eligibility within their community. Bishops conduct extensive counseling with engaged couples, ensuring they understand the spiritual commitment they're making and possess the maturity needed for successful marriage. This guidance covers everything from conflict resolution and financial responsibility to child-rearing and community obligations that extend far beyond typical premarital counseling. The bishop's approval represents divine sanction that validates the marriage in ways no government license could achieve. His blessing confirms that the couple meets religious standards for spiritual union and community membership, criteria that matter infinitely more than legal technicalities to faithful Amish individuals. During the wedding ceremony itself, the bishop performs the religious service that creates the true marriage bond through God's authority rather than state power. His words carry weight that transcends temporal concerns, creating spiritual obligations that Amish couples consider binding for eternity rather than just until death or divorce. The bishop's ongoing role in married couples' lives provides spiritual guidance, conflict resolution, and community accountability that helps marriages succeed over decades. This religious authority structure creates support systems and expectations that civil marriage alone cannot provide, demonstrating why church leadership matters more than legal documentation to Amish families. Modern legal benefits? Even traditional communities like the Amish recognize that modern legal benefits make marriage licenses essential for protecting families and ensuring smooth interaction with contemporary American society. Healthcare decisions represent critical areas where legal marriage provides authority that religious marriage alone cannot secure in hospital settings and medical emergencies. Insurance coverage through employers or private policies requires legal marriage documentation to include spouses and children in health, life, and disability insurance plans. Without proper legal recognition, Amish families could face devastating medical expenses or coverage gaps that would burden their community's mutual aid systems beyond reasonable limits. Tax benefits for married couples filing jointly can save Amish families significant money each year, funds that can be reinvested in family farms, businesses, or community projects. Social Security survivor benefits protect widowed spouses and orphaned children, providing financial security during difficult transitions that affect entire extended families. Property rights and inheritance laws require legal marriage to ensure smooth transfer of farms, homes, and businesses between generations, without complex legal procedures or excessive tax burdens. Intestate succession laws protect surviving spouses when proper estate planning hasn't been completed, preventing property disputes that could divide families and communities. Child custody and parental rights gain legal protection through marriage licenses that establish both parents' authority over their children's welfare, education, and medical care. Without legal marriage, fathers might face complications asserting parental rights in custody situations or medical emergencies. Banking and financial services require marriage documentation for joint accounts, business loans, and mortgages that support family enterprises and community economic stability. These practical benefits demonstrate that even the most traditional communities must engage with modern legal systems to protect their families and maintain their way of life effectively within contemporary American society. The answer to whether Amish need marriage licenses reveals a fascinating balance between faith and practicality. Yes, they do get licenses, but not for the reasons you might think. Their approach demonstrates sophisticated navigation of dual citizenship. Quote, honoring God through religious ceremony while protecting families through civil law. This balance offers lessons about maintaining core values while engaging practically with modern society. What surprised you most about Amish marriage practices? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more eye-opening insights into traditional communities. Hit that notification bell to discover more hidden truths about the Amish way of life that challenge common assumptions.